Hi you guys and welcome to my channel. I'm back with a new reaction video and we're gonna check out a video called When a Rookie Shaq Bullied Prime Michael Jordan and Almost Got Away With It. So yeah, I'm not gonna ramble. Let's get straight into this video. I had to put my hair up in a braid, you guys, because my hair is a whole mess today.
On January 16th, 1993, Michael Jordan and Shaquille
I'm born 1993. December 8th.
O'Neal had one of the greatest duels of the decade.
Oh! One hand shot. Hey! Those stripes are clean. Ooh, he landed on the arm. He said that one is. Oh, he's mad. He said that was a foul. Shish! Oh my God.
In a back-and-forth battle that went into overtime, Jordan dropped 64 points and Shaq had a 30-20 game with 5 blocks. The Magic, a brand new franchise that finished with just 21 wins in the previous season, defeated the reigning NBA champs. This was only the second time Shaq faced off against Jordan, but in one of the quietest rivalries in NBA history, this saga was far from over. In fact, in this epic matchup, Shaq would do something that would come back to haunt him years later.
What do you do? That didn't look too serious.
I can't let him dunk on me. That's not gonna happen.
Oh!
I have to touch him up.
Oh!
There's one I'm not getting dunked on. That'll be a poster forever, because Mike was the man at the time. So when I go to help him up, he said, don't ever help nobody up. Great foul. Don't do that. I don't need your help. But I'm coming back, don't you worry.
Okay.
While driving to the basket, MJ gets hammered by Shaq, a tactic that was just as much psychological as it was physical. Ever since Shaquille O'Neal stepped onto a basketball court, his message was to prove he was bigger and stronger than everyone else. That no matter how hard you came at him, he would come back 10 times harder. But in his attempt to get inside Jordan's head, Shaq inadvertently sparked a fire inside MJ that would later lead to a career-altering decision.
You do something to him, he's gonna...
In the early 90s, Shaquille O'Neal bullied his way into NBA superstar status like no other rookie had done before. In his first 10 games, Shaq was putting up stat lines that no 20-year-old rookie should be putting up. The basketball world knew he would be good. But this good, this early, was unheard of. In 1996, Shaq made the 50 greatest players in NBA history list in just his 3rd season at the age of 23. To put this into perspective, the youngest player in last year's All-Star game was 22. At the moment, these are the best 23-year-olds in the NBA. It would be an impossible stretch to say that any of these players would be considered a top 50 player of all time. In fact, only 2 of them have an all-star appearance.
Sheesh.
And yet, at this point in his career, Shaq was on the same list as the best players to ever lace up. But no matter how incredible Shaq was, as long as Jordan was in the league, he would be an afterthought in regards to the best player in the NBA. The conversation is always Kobe versus Michael, but while Kobe was trying to earn a spot on his high school's varsity team, Shaq was busy trying to dethrone a prime Michael Jordan. And after losing again and again and again, Shaquille O'Neal actually succeeded. After the 1992-93 season, Mike took his infamous break from basketball, leaving the door wide open for Shaq to take over the NBA. Just 1 season into the league, Shaq and the rest of the world were taken by surprise when a prime Michael Jordan retired from basketball. And with Jordan busy playing baseball, Shaq asserted himself as the most dominant player on the planet. Jordan leaving the game was the best thing that could ever have happened for a young Shaquille O'Neal. At this point, the Magic had established themselves as the best team in the East behind their young dynamic duo in Shaq and Penny. Each game getting one step closer to the seemingly inevitable fact that Shaquille O'Neal was going to be the face of the NBA for the foreseeable future. In the next 2 seasons, Shaq had turned a failing franchise into an NBA powerhouse. From 21 wins to 57 wins in just 3 seasons, topping the East in 1995. Averaging 27, 13, and 3 while earning 2 All-NBA team selections, a Rookie of the Year award, and a scoring title at just 22 years old. This was his time. He had the team, he had the talent, and Mike had vacated his #1 spot. How could you possibly stop a 7-foot 1-inch, 300-pound freak of nature?
That's crazy.
You wanted to get away from the media. They had no more challenges.
Back.
Less than 2 years. You're back.
Just at the moment Shaq thought he was free from Jordan's reign, Michael decided maybe basketball was a sport after all, and returned to the game in the spring of 1995. And that fast track to the NBA Finals just took a detour for Shaq and the Magic. But the last time Michael played Shaq, the Magic weren't even a playoff team. Now, just 2 seasons later, they were the best team in the East and had all the ingredients for a future dynasty. Meanwhile, the Bulls were recovering from their Jordanless year, and for the first time since the 80s, the Bulls didn't look like the obvious favorite. In the 1995 NBA playoffs, 2 years after their last matchup, Shaq would finally get his chance to officially snatch the torch from Jordan. And he did just that.
Big guy gets it there. O'Neal with the fadeaway, and it's now 7-2, Magic with a lead. Looks for the lob, and Shaq drops it in. Starts to back in. Will comes over to help, and you can't do that. Well, the Bulls side for Shaq. O'Neal, jump hook. He's
All him.
Against Shaq. Try to adjust in the air, and he
Oh!
will.
Shaq with a
Okay.
steal.
Shaq.
And slam.
And he does. What a big play by Shaquille O'Neal.
The big guy, O'Neal.
He's playing for his life. Start going through that.
O'Neal throws it in.
By Shaq.
On the floor, Shaq, and that'll do it. O'Neal with the slam.
Oh, wow.
And the Orlando
Bucket.
Magic are going to win this series over the Chicago Bulls. The Orlando Magic here come
That's
into
it,
the
finito?
United Center in Chicago and defeat the Chicago Bulls.
For the first and only time in his prime, Michael Jordan and the Bulls were knocked out of the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
The once unbeatable team had fallen to a 22-year-old Shaquille O'Neal and company, and Shaq's master plan had finally become a reality.
Oh,
A
yeah.
run that shocked the basketball world and even Shaq himself.
I'm studying him because I want what he has.
Man.
Studying how the refs treat him. I'm studying how he's talking to his teammates and they respond. I'm studying his relationship with him and Phil Jackson. I'm studying how the opponents look at him and fear him and all that. I definitely want that. He was the best in the game and I wanted his spot.
Keep in mind, this is a Michael Jordan a season and a half removed from basketball and only 25 games into his return to the league. A 32-year-old MJ who hadn't quite gotten his touch back and was still adjusting to the hardwood, and he's putting up 31 and 7 a game on one of the best teams in the league. But none of that mattered to Shaq because in just his 3rd season, he became the only man to ever knock off Michael Jordan in his prime.
Oh, wow.
The kid that wanted to be Jordan had beaten Jordan. And it would be nice and fitting if the story ended right here. A young Shaquille O'Neal dragging a once terrible team to their biggest playoff success in the organization's existence, slaying the once unbeatable monster in Chicago. But if there's one thing we've learned about basketball in the 90s, Michael Jordan always gets the last laugh. Following their defeat to the Magic, Michael Jordan and the Bulls went on their 1996 revenge tour, absolutely bullying their way through the entire league, breaking multiple NBA records and winning the most games in a single season at the time. A reminder to the NBA that Michael Jordan and his squad were still the best basketball team on the planet. But behind this return to glory, an underlying motive for their success was driving Jordan to get back to that rare moment of failure in the previous season, to get revenge on the only man to beat him while he was on top. Following a regular season where the Bulls won 2 of 3 matchups against the Magic, once again, Jordan and Shaq were set to face off in the playoffs, this time in the conference finals to decide who would go on to fight for a championship. Shaq thought it was his time, but Mike had to remind the Diesel that his time was up.
Michael has seen his teammates
I'm
rise to the
nervous.
occasion, playing with the fire and determination that is the Bulls one win away from a trip to the finals. But one giant roadblock still stands in the way.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
Defense to start this ballgame.
Here we go.
Line is set up for him. John is guarding Michael Jordan, who shoots
For three.
from the and
That was
pushes.
for 2. Mid-range.
Michael posting up Bowie. And Jordan with the rebound. Bowie with the rebound.
Oh! Give me that!
With Jordan. By in the third. Nice move by Utah. Jordan.
Doesn't get an opportunity here.
Every
There's
time
the
Shaq hang on the rim, I get nervous. Oh!
Yeah.
Anyway, gave him the middle.
For 3!
Jordan
Sheesh.
operating against Bowie.
And a foul!
Yes. Jordan to the fade at 6.
Bucket.
Jordan getting
Alright,
trailed
going
most
crazy.
of the way.
He going crazy.
Chicago. Jordan for 3.
I got goosebumps.
Jordan with the pull-up. Yes. 45 points.
After losing to the Magic in the season prior, the Bulls went on to sweep them in the 1996 Eastern Conference Finals, including a 38-point blowout in Game 1 and holding the Magic to just 67 points
3-0.
in Game 3. In the 1995 playoffs, the Magic won by an average margin of just 1.25 points, winning the series in 6. In the 1996 playoffs, the Bulls won by an average margin of nearly 17 points. A beatdown of historic proportions. To put this series into perspective, the 2017 Warriors had one of the most dominating runs in NBA playoff history, going 16-1 on their path to a championship. In the finals, they nearly swept the Cavs, winning by an average margin of just 8.5 points. Jordan and the Bulls didn't just beat the Magic, they absolutely buried them in their own building. But despite getting swept, Shaq still held his own, putting up numbers that make you wonder how such a great player on a 60-win team could get walked like this.
Exactly. That was a winner game for Shaq.
They were playing the best player to ever touch a basketball on the best team in league history. But Jordan's beatdown on Shaq doesn't end there. See, from 1992 to 1996, the Orlando Magic were quickly becoming one of the best teams in the league, getting better every single season. They had a prime Shaq, a prime Penny Hardaway, a borderline all-star in Nick Anderson, and a 3-time champion in Horace Grant. The most lethal offense in the NBA, and they were fresh off of a finals appearance. They had all the tools to make a run at a championship for several seasons. But, of course, this never happened. Despite finding success in Orlando, Shaq took his talents to LA, and, of course, the rest is history. But one of the biggest what-ifs of 90s NBA is the Shaq and Penny duo. The idea of Shaquille O'Neal taking a new, underwhelming franchise to the promised land and rising up as the new face of the league.
They're going crazy.
Now, there are several
unmatched.
reasons as to why Shaq left the Magic, but one that is rarely addressed was his virtually unspoken rivalry with Michael Jordan. Was Shaq dodging Michael Jordan? Well, I wouldn't go that far. But the Diesel was, without a doubt, shaken up by MJ and the Bulls. His ego was hurt, and he knew that as long as he was in the East, and as long as Jordan was playing basketball, he would never be the guy. But in hindsight, Shaquille O'Neal's shortcomings at the hands of Michael Jordan were actually a blessing in disguise for his career. Because after going toe-to-toe with MJ, every other player, every other team was, in Shaq's words, barbecue chicken.
Mike is the guy that taught me how to go to the next level. Walking off the court, Mike grabs me and says, before you succeed, you must first learn to fail. And that helped me out when I made the move to LA and kept failing, and came to the point where we got to win. Because that's how I became who I am today.
So, although we can thank Michael Jordan for dismantling this team and stripping us from the most lethal young duo of the 90s, we can also thank MJ for running Shaq out of Orlando and giving us this.
Well, we're gonna
Some
go that
rivalries
far,
have
though?
been cemented in history books because of the impact they had on the game. Others were so subtle that they virtually went undetected. With MJ out of the picture, a young Shaquille O'Neal thought he had the league on lock, that the throne was his for the taking. But Michael Jordan gave him a harsh reminder that the crown wasn't his quite yet. Hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, until next time.
Nah, it was a good and interesting take. The thing is, you can like go back and forth a little bit with it, like they said, running him off. Like obviously, meeting Jordan and that team as a whole is a nightmare. Then he showed what he could do when Jordan was absent and took that little break, whatever we're gonna call it. But do you guys think that he should have stayed? It was a good move to go to the West Coast. I mean, just playing in LA with the palm trees and stuff. I feel like everyone want to experience that as a player, but I don't know. It was a good video though. Interesting take. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below if you have an opinion, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.